Hey everybody in YouTube, MacGyver Mike 1 here. Tonight I'm going to be reviewing Led Zeppelin III. Part of Summer Zeppelin, Episode 3, reviewing Led Zeppelin III. Their third studio album. Came out in 1970. Was recorded, it was released on October 5th, 1970. It was recorded in January and August of 1970 at various locations. Alright, this is going to be a hard review because Led Zeppelin III, I like the album. I appreciate the album, how good it is. But it's not my top 5, not in my top, it's my 5th favorite Zeppelin album. It's not on my top 4. It's not as good as Led Zeppelin 1. It's not as good as 2 or 4 or Physical Graffiti. It's not disappointing though, but I just think it wasn't as good as their previous efforts, Led Zeppelin 1 and 2, which are amazing albums. But yeah, let's go through a little backstory behind the album. This was they actually when they were recording Zeppelin III, they recorded some of it at Atlantic Studios in London, but I think there was like some personal things going on at this point. I don't really know. Let me look at the internet. But the band Led Zeppelin. They were living at a 18th century cottage in a GWYN. EDD, Wales, on a hilltop overlooking the. I can't really pronounce it pretty good, but they recorded most of the stuff at a cottage back in 1970 when they were recording this album. It was pretty interesting. When I was watching a Led Zeppelin documentary, they talked about the recording sessions of 3. But yeah. But yeah, what can I say about Led Zeppelin 3? I mean, like, it's a good album, but like I said, it's nowhere near as good as their previous efforts, Led Zeppelin 2 and Led Zeppelin 1. Those two albums are a little bit better than this. The reason why it's not really it has a fan base, but they changed their style with this album. They went more of like a folk blues sound, and that kind of made fans scratch their head because are they competing with Crosby, Still, Nash and Young, which when they released it around this, where they try to compete with Crosby, Still and Nash, but I don't, yeah, but it's just different. It's a different Zeppelin album. It's not a hard rock album at all. It has some hard rock tunes in it, but there's mainly folk in it, more acoustic, mature stuff, which is different at the time because Zeppelin was known for like heavy guitar riffs. I love the cover, like the back of it. There's Plant, Page, where's bottom there, and Plant. This is my dad's original vinyl copy, so it's seen a little bit of better days, but this is not mine. I don't own Zeppelin III. I own it on my laptop. I don't own the album. My dad does. This is my dad's copy. Zeppelin III, but even though I'm not, the album's mediocre, it's okay, but I still love the album. I love the inside of it. I love the gatefold. And especially this feature here. Everyone knows about the wheel. If I can see. I always keep it on the Jimmy Page spot because Jimmy Page is my favorite member from Zeppelin. My second favorite's Bonham, then Plant, then John Paul Jones. But this album does have some hits. Only two songs in here are well known to me. I mean, like, there's some songs that are well known to me, but mainly the two songs, Immigrant Song and Since I've Been Loving You. Those were probably the two big songs in the album. But yeah, let's go over a little bit of backstory again. But yeah, yeah, but like I said, the Zeppelin III was a lot different than than their first two. It's more mature. But it still sold well. It still sold really well. It didn't sold as well as their first two efforts. It was kind of a commercial disappointment, but it still sold pretty some copies of this. But when the third LP came out and got its reviews, Crosby, Still, Nash & Young had just formed that LP. Just come out, and because Atlantic acoustic guitars had come to a forefront, all of a sudden Zeppelin go acoustic. That's what some people said about Zeppelin III. It was more acoustic, less electric than Led Zeppelin II and Led Zeppelin I. That doesn't mean I hate the album. I kind of like this album. It's hard to talk about it because it's just not really one of my top favorite Zeppelin albums. I mean, like, I like the album fine. It's not my favorite album. It's not my least favorite. I don't have a least favorite Zeppelin album right now at this moment. I don't have a least favorite. But there's a couple songs. There's some songs in here that I really like. There's concert staples in this album that I really, really enjoyed. Like the top songs in the album, "Immigrant Song." Since I've Been Loving You. Those are the top two songs in the album, is Immigrant Song and Since I've Been Loving You. Those were the top two songs in this album. And but there's a couple other songs I like in the album. There's two other songs. Friend, I really like Celebration Day. That's one of my favorite Zeppelin songs. Celebration Day is really good.
Her face is cracked from smiling, all the fears that she's been hiding. And it seems that pretty soon everybody's gonna know.
And Tangerine. Those four songs in the album are my favorite in the album. But the rest of the songs in here are not my cup of tea. They're too mature. I think the whole album's too mature. And, I mean, like, some Zeppelin fans say this is their favorite album. They're probably gonna attack me for saying that Zeppelin III it's not one of my favorites. I like the album. It is one of my personal favorites, but it's not on my top list. Those four songs in there, Immigrant Song, which I love listening to Immigrant Song live. I love listening to it live, seeing the live video of it. It's really cool. Really like Since I've Been Loving You. That's one of my favorite Zeppelin songs. And Celebration Day and Tangerine are two obscure songs in the album. The one thing I don't like about this album, it cut out a song that would have been a good closure for the album. It's called Hey Hey, What Can I Do?
Wanna tell you about a girl I love, my she looks so fine. She's the only one that I've been dreaming of. Maybe someday she will be all mine. I wanna tell her that I love her so. I feel with her every turn. I need to tell her she's the only one I really love.
Hey, what can I do? That song's really good. I don't know why it's not in this album. It's in the single for Immigrant Song. Oh yeah, and I have to talk about the single thing. Led Zeppelin was not crazy about releasing singles because they rather want to have their fans listening to the whole album as a whole, like the beginning to end. And Atlantic released I think Ramble On or something from Zeppelin II as a single, and Zeppelin was not a fan of that. I forgot to mention this in my Led Zeppelin II video. They were not crazy about that. They did not like releasing it as a single. But Atlantic did not ask for... but when Atlantic released Immigrant Song as a single, they did not have the band's permission to release it. And that wasn't a... I don't know what else happened. But, let me go into the single Immigrant Song. Yeah, and that's all I really have to say about Zeppelin III. It's a good album. I love the cover art. That's my favorite thing about the LP version. I love the spinning wheel cover art. It looks pretty sweet. Obviously, this has been also remastered as well with Zeppelin 1 and 2 with the 2014 reissues, which has a different cover, the collector's edition. Yeah, I forgot to mention that in my Zeppelin II review. This is not like the fully remastered one. This isn't a remastered 2014 edition, but it's not the collector's one. This is the standard one that I found for $20. It's the one I wanted. I forgot to mention that, but I'll still post the cover here. Yeah, Led Zeppelin III. I like the album fine. It's a good album. I give it a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. The only reason why it has that it's scored less points than the other two videos, this is more mature sounding than their other two efforts, and most of the songs in here were not one of my favorites. I only liked 4 songs in the album, for crying out loud. I need to listen to it again. Let's show you the record. Let's see how the condition is. My dad had this for many years. It's in pretty decent condition. This is an original pressing copy from 1970, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, yeah, Zeppelin III gets a 8 out of 10. It's a good album, but not my favorite Zeppelin album. It's my 5th favorite. I'll do a top 5 or whatever Led Zeppelin album thing. I'll do that sometime in the future. So yeah, on the next review, I'm going to be reviewing their masterpiece of an album, Led Zeppelin IV. So keep an eye out on that whenever I get to it. The reason why I was going to do this video on Friday, but I fell asleep because of work, because work really killed me on Friday. I had to shovel a lot of wood, but yeah, but I don't know why I did that. Okay, catch you guys later, VC and YouTube. I know this review is short, but there's nothing much to say about Zeppelin III. But yeah, so see you guys later.
If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed. It's just a sprinkling for me.